It's episode 2 of God Squad. Today I'm talking with former colleagues Stephanie Coyne and Tim Lauve-Moon, and they'll introduce themselves in just a little bit. When I moved to New Orleans in 2013 and became the senior pastor at the St. Charles Avenue Baptist Church, Tim and Stephanie were already there as associate pastors and had been there for a couple of years at that point, and we became a dream team. I loved working with them, and you will see quickly the way that two of us gang up on the third one and annoy each other like brothers and sisters and love each other really big. So, God Squad coming to you today. I have gotten the question, how often will you do these? How many of them will there be? Are you going to bring back Matt and Jay? There's not really a plan. This is just kind of a creative outlet for me during this time. 33 days now in my house, 34, I don't know. We're going to lose track at some point. Yes, Matt and Jay will be kind of the core folks. I have already talked with one of them about bringing them back, and we'll do some check-ins. They'll be kind of the anchor squad, and then we'll have other people rotating in from around the country because I want to hear how different colleagues are navigating this time of pastoral ministry and family care and self-care and pandemic and whatever this year is bringing. It's a big year of change, and we know that it won't be over in just a few weeks, and normal may not ever be the same again, right? So anyway, that's where we are with God Squad. Enjoy this conversation today with Tim and Stephanie. It's good to see y'all.
Good to
Good to
see
see
you
you.
both.
Yeah.
I just feel like this is a nice little reunion, and I'm curious to see how long it takes before Stephanie gets annoyed.
I just am very happy that we're doing this in 3 separate rooms, so I can leave whenever I want to.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I think under normal circumstances, it would only take a couple minutes, but maybe we'll get a little bit longer because there's a pandemic. And we are all hungry for friendship.
It's true. I am testing the myth of being an extrovert, and I'm moving more towards, Tim, what you've always said about being an extrovert and introvert, that there are certain kinds of people I want to be around and certain kinds of relationships that sound really energizing right now, but I'm generally really digging this being at home thing.
Yeah.
More than I expected to. So before we jump into how are you spending your time, why don't you each introduce yourselves, Stephanie first, and then Tim, tell us who you are and what your work is these days and where you are.
Okay. I'm Stephanie Coyne. I am a chaplain currently at a pediatric hospital, Scottish Rite, in Atlanta, and we live right outside Atlanta.
I am Tim Lauve-Moon. I live in Fort Worth, Texas, and am a graduate student getting my PhD in sociology and looking at intersections of race and religion. And so we've been out here about 2 years.
Wow, 2 years already. And Stephanie, how y'all
2 and a
been
half, I guess.
How long where?
You've been in the Atlanta area for 4 years, or mid Georgia.
Yeah.
You kind of bounced around.
Circling around.
Yeah. So how are you spending your time right now? Stephanie, you're still going into the hospital. You're still keeping regular hours, huh?
I am. Regular is, it's a little bit irregular. I've gone from working 5 days a week to having some 4-10s, and then this week I'm working 3 12s. I worked a 12-hour shift yesterday. So it's really week by week, sometimes even day by day. One of the issues that we have, which I don't think is uncommon, is our census is really low. It's because everybody's staying home. So some of the chronic children that we see are not out, and so they're not getting sick. So we don't have them. People aren't driving around as much, so we don't have motor vehicle accidents. People aren't reporting what they might be reporting if children were in school. So we don't have those either. So generally our census is low, which means we need to provide more staff support. So we are working some longer hours, so we get to say hey and offer support to morning, midday, and then evening shifts as well. So so it's really kind of week by week right now when I'm there. But it's good. I mean, in that I have a regular job and they still need me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know there have not been lots of pediatric COVID cases. Are y'all seeing anything at all where you are?
So we don't test for COVID, and there's not a ton of information I can give just because it's not public.
Sure.
But we have seen respiratory illnesses come through.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But not on the scale of an adult hospital at all.
Sure.
Yeah. In fact, because of our reduced census and because of a less heightened need at our hospital, several of our intensive care nurses have gone to New York or to South Georgia to help.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make a note, Stephanie, to come back to something you said a little bit later on about because kids are not in school.
Yeah.
There are certain things not being reported.
Right.
So we'll circle back to that. Tim, what are your days like? You still taking classes online and writing and all of that?
Yeah, so in some ways it hasn't changed that much because we live in Fort Worth and Baylor's down in Waco, which is like an hour and a half away. I worked from home quite a few days a week anyway, and would just go in for days where I had class. So the routine of being home a lot's not that different. It's while I am an introvert, the being in class online and separate from interaction is not great for the way I like to learn and work. I like building off people's ideas, and so that's a lot harder when you're doing a discussion board where it's like emailing back and forth that can take forever and takes a long time to get to your point. So that's been a little bit more difficult to navigate. But yeah, grateful for still having basically a job and that my program's not going to be affected at all, really. Well, I don't think. So yeah, things are good. We're just being at the house all the time.
All the time.
Every day, all day.
How is that for y'all? So Stephanie, you're not in the house all the time, but your children and spouse are in the house all the time. So are y'all in the groove with that, or struggling, or kind of up and down?
Yeah, probably my perspective is different from my spouse's in that I am leaving.
Yeah.
I do get to have a change of scenery. I think they're doing fine. Jesse's able to teach online, so that's good. And we live with my mother-in-law. She has a basement apartment downstairs. Okay. So she's here to help distract the children, which is nice. And probably between the two of us, Jesse is he is a much more patient person, especially with trying to educate the children, especially the one that was saying hello to us earlier. He's kind of all over the place. But, we get out, we walk, they're outdoors a lot. We're so thankful that we've had nice weather so that they can get outside and, but we're making it work. Yeah.
So Tim, it sounds like you're saying you're kind of in a groove already, though there are some struggles to just being at home all the time.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is good or bad, but Katie and I both had just a lot of deadlines and a lot of work that need to be done that the expectations for that weren't really changed because of all of this. So we've still had a lot to do. So I'm personally kind of grateful for it because it keeps my mind from cycling through some of what's going on, at least too much. To be aware of what's happening and checking on the news is one thing, but to not have anything to do, so you're checking on the news every 15 minutes is not good for mental health.
Yeah.
So grateful that I can just dive into work for 6 or 8 hours a day, where I'm really having to think, and so I can't have my mind on that all day. Yeah.
Yeah, I was initially watching all the press conferences, even when, I mean, you both know that I have not been a fan of this current president at any point along the way. And for the first time ever, like I was actually listening to him speak, which I just found was making everything worse.
Mhm.
So I have limited myself now. My sister-in-law watches for me, so she certainly will text me and tell me what she thinks of what goes on in the national press conferences. But I just watched a little bit of John Bell Edwards and Latoya Cantrell to hear what's going on really locally. Because if I'm overloading with, I still see too much on Twitter. It feeds my anxiety, which is not something that we need. Like, we don't need a more wired, more anxious me. So I'm trying to distance myself from that too. And today's a good day. Saturday was awful. Getting ready for the Easter service just felt so like, what do you say? And how do you channel hope and optimism? I just felt like I needed to be really flowery and sunshiny in a way that wasn't authentic. And I finally turned some kind of corner and got to a place where I felt like what I was saying and preparing for our service was true. But it took me a long time to get there, hours on Saturday. So it's up and down.
Yeah.
I found this quote. It was originally attributed to Brene Brown, but it's not Brene Brown. And so I started digging around, and I think the author is Sonia Renee Taylor, who I don't know much about. So I'm going to keep looking into who is she, because some of the images are just beautiful in this. So I wanted to share this quote with y'all, and then kind of kick around some ideas that stick out to you. So I'll probably end up reading it a couple of times, but here we go. We will not go back to normal. Normal never was. Our pre-corona existence was not normal, other than we normalized greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hate, and lack. We should not long to return, my friends. We are being given the opportunity to stitch a new garment, one that fits all of humanity and nature. It's good stuff, huh?
Yeah, it is.
I wish I'd written that quote.
I know.
That's awesome.
I hate when that's like the first impulse. Like, dang it.
Didn't I write it down?
Taylor, you're brilliant.
Yeah, that's really good.
So yeah, I think for me, this on one hand, I don't know how genuine my perspective is, because I am still getting up and going to work and leaving the house. But I find myself almost envious of people who are staying at home, who are getting to complete projects, who are getting to spend all this time with their children. And wishing I had a few more days of that. I just started reading, well, not started reading, but I'm taking a long look at a Sabbath book by Heschel and another Sabbath book by Brueggemann. And those were already in the back of my mind when this hit. And so this idea of forced Sabbath really came alive for me. And I vacillate between being very grateful for work and being able to leave, and being a tiny bit jealous of people who are getting to walk every day and exercise.
Yeah.
And like I said, finishing projects, writing beautiful quotes. I kind of crave some of that completion time. So I am hopeful that we can take advantage of what it feels like and carry that forward, to where we do slow down, where we're not running around all the time.
Yeah.
I know I wanted that when I was in congregational ministry. I really wanted that for my congregants, for the families, because it was too much. And church became just another thing. Um, so part of this, I hope we carry forward.
Tim, do you want to jump in on anything that sticks out, or
Yeah. Whilst I think a lot about sociology and kind of how I got interested in that, because I think it connects a lot with theology, especially for me. And so sociology is really about uncovering things that are hidden, social processes and things like that. And so I think the word normal really catches me, because a lot of what we study is like the normative. So the normative is like, or the default is like being white or being a male or being straight, all these things. And so this is really, like, this is all really uncovering things in a way that sociology can't do it like this. Like, it's becoming really obvious to everybody how many inequalities there are and how unjust our society really is. And I think we got a letter from oh gosh, what's his name? Somebody at the, is it, I can't remember his name. But anyway, it was from the Alliance, and he was talking about these times being a very apocalyptic time, but clarifying what that means, that it's uncovering or unveiling of these inequalities. And so I thought that was really thought-provoking and really kind of where I was. And so, yeah, my hope is that we carry this reality with us, that this normal we're wanting to go back to had some huge problems with it. And so hopefully we can recognize that when we all kind of come back together physically.
Well, yeah, I think we know, the three of us in some personal ways know that the language of privilege has been really triggering for some people and not always been a comfortable word. So I wonder if it helps to talk about normalcy as an illusion, or normalcy as a, so if we think that getting back to normal is a good thing, it's because we had the luxury of a good thing going already. And so this is where I was making the note, Stephanie, about kids are not in school, so certain observations that teachers and administration make are not being observed, but it doesn't mean it's not going on. And we've heard from other countries around the world that domestic violence is up. We know that there are people who are trapped in dangerous situations. We know that there are people who are in multi-generational houses where there's no room to get away from anybody. There's no social distancing. There's a grocery store here in the lower Ninth Ward that's been getting a lot of attention because the shop owner realized a woman was stealing eggs and toilet paper, like some very, very basic stuff. And he was like, just take it. And so there's been a GoFundMe that I hear is pretty successful in supporting his work to make sure that people in his neighborhood have the food that they need. So I'm really mindful of my anxiety, or like my worst day here, whatever, is still, so I'm going to go work in my garden. So I'm going to go watch some hummingbirds. So I'm going to go for a nice walk to the lake. So that's, I don't have answers or even complete sentences yet, but I'm wondering where is our work in this as ministers, in whatever's being revealed right now for those of us from whom it was hidden, right? I mean, it's not being revealed to the people who are suffering. It's being revealed to those of us who are in luxurious positions to not see. So I wonder, where is our work in this as ministers, particularly as white ministers? And where is our work in this as humans, particularly as white humans in this culture? I'm just going to read this one section again. We normalize greed, inequity, exhaustion, depletion, extraction, disconnection, confusion, rage, hoarding, hate, and lack. Do you have any hope that we can really address any of that this year?
I think that I think we have a window, right?
Yeah.
Where this is still really real for people. So I think that whatever the timetable is, people are going to forget all this, and they're going to forget how it feels and what it was like. And we're going to go back to this normal that never was. So I think that, yeah, this kind of work needs to happen now, and in the months after this, we get back to being able to see each other. Because yeah, this is like a window. This is kind of like a thin place where we can engage these things in a way that we won't be able to for very long, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right to use that thin place language.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of when I do funerals, I always remind the people in the room, like, this is a very rare moment. This moment where we're so clear about what matters and what doesn't, it's going to go away. It's not even sustainable to stay in that hyper aware place. But when someone you love dies, you get that tunnel vision. Oh my goodness, I'm so clear about what really matters right now. So I am wondering if we're in some kind of prolonged period like that as humanity, where we get to really see what matters and what doesn't. I was going to share something with y'all. The thing about, so normal never was, our pre-corona existence was not normal other than we normalized, and Sheila saw these things. And one of them for me is exhaustion. And one of the things that I've been working through this year in therapy and with a coach and all of those good things and in my reading is understanding, is that Stephanie's new dog?
Yeah, we have multiple in the house.
Multiple people or multiple dogs?
Dogs. Mother-in-law.
That's a lot of activity going on.
Our dog's being quiet for now, but I'm not sure how long that'll last.
Our Target groceries just got delivered.
Oh,
So if that says something about this conversation too, then.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a very exciting moment in our lives right now. It's like grocery delivery.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a big shipment of paper towels yesterday. That was
nice.
really exciting. I was going to say something thoughtful or meaningful or personal or something. That's all right. I'm just getting it back. I think I was going to say, for me, and probably a lot of folks, I have come to recognize that my sense of personal worthiness is rooted in my work. And that's been really hard for me to, when someone challenged me about that initially, this coach I'm working with, I was like, well, no, I have a strong sense of personal worthiness. And then she started to ask, like, so do you prioritize yourself? Do you prioritize your own self-care? Do you prioritize your own boundaries and time? And like this list of questions where I'm like, no. And there's something about the stripping away of productivity. And so Stephanie, you're still in a place where you're working 10 and 12-hour shifts.
Yeah.
So maybe this is going to be a difference between the way our time is right now. I think I'm finding that this moment is a real opportunity for me to understand the parts of my own life that I had normalized that were not healthy. And how can I do something different? I think that's part of why I want to do these conversations. Not just be recreating what I've always done, but really to allow it to be a thin place and to allow it to be a Sabbath season.
I think my last church experience really challenged my idea of, exploring that whole self-worthiness thing, to where I really felt pretty broken leaving that. And so there's still an immense amount of grief, and I'm a year out now, immense amount of grief. And I think there is that element of I was so wrapped up in what I was doing as a minister and receiving all of my worthiness from that, and then having that just completely shattered. I think that was the beginning of that journey for me. And so now going into work where I feel like I'm doing something, like I'm getting dirty, literally sometimes, where I feel valued. I have really started exploring. Okay, but you went into a job feeling that way before, and it was all taken away. So what else are you doing in your life to return some of that in a more personal way, not receiving it, not having to receive it from outside sources, but receiving it from within. So that's definitely been on my mind too. So that's a interesting point that you bring up that I don't know I would have thought about exploring during this time. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and I think for me, I mean, I think we're groomed as Americans and it's kind of like capitalist ideas of like how important work is and um, how connected that is to identity. And so, yeah, I've noticed for myself being at home and working, I haven't been as productive as I really would want to be. And so that then I hear then I have some kind of feelings of guilt that it's like, why can't I work? Like I have this great opportunity to do a lot of work and get way ahead and do all these projects. And then my mind just won't let me. And so, fortunately, I mean, I've heard other people say this too, that they've struggled with that. And so it's kind of this idea that we need to give ourselves a little more grace because this is a time of like collective grief and trauma. Even though everybody's trauma looks different and mine is way less intense than a lot of people's.
And also maybe constant productivity is not the point. And maybe
right, that's what I was thinking.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that
we yeah, great point. So like letting myself let go of some of that and be like, okay, if you got 3 or 4 hours of work done and you wanted to get 8 done, that's who cares? Like you still did things and you made your mark on the world for the day, and that's okay. So yeah, like giving yourself some grace and realizing that your whole identity being work is that's not normal. That's not how it's supposed to be. Yeah, good point.
And I wonder too if we will be able to accept that this time may look different for different people. That for you, Tim, it might be a time of rest and work, of you finding that golden number of 70 minutes of work and 70 minutes of rest, whatever that looks like for you. For me, it may be I do a 12-hour shift and then I crash for 24 hours. And that for some people, it may mean just a time of incredible struggle. And that's not for us to feel guilty about. It's that, maybe we should just be paying attention to what we are supposed to receive from this time, and then still reaching out to those who are just struggling 24 hours a day.
Yeah, and I think also learning from other people's experiences, like what is it like to be in my position, but then also what is it like to be in yours, or a lot of our essential workers and like their experience, and what does that teach us about kind of ourselves and our society? Yeah, that's a good point.
I want to get back to one of the questions I asked a few minutes ago. Where is our work in this as ministers? Where is our work in this as humans? When we think about the places of real injustice that are being exposed right now, real inequality that are being exposed, systems and structures that have been created to keep people in a certain place, and those systems and structures have damaged and wounded people. Where is our work in helping to dismantle and shine light? And I don't have answers for that, because there are days that I'm really just wanting to make sure that my kids come out of this time at home, like not panicked and afraid of coughing for the rest of their lives, and feeling loved and protected. But also knowing I'm not called to only care about the 4 people in my house.
Sure.
I'm also called to speak to a bigger collective.
And I think we have 3 really good examples of how work will go on. I think Tim in his study and his research and in sharing what he finds, that will be one source of ministering. I'm not using that verb correctly, but one area. My work will be
Makes sense to me.
Going to work and seeing a bunch of different sectors of society, and speaking to the experiences that we have in the healthcare industry. And I think yours, Elizabeth, will be preaching about it. We'll be speaking audibly and writing, so that a larger audience hears.
Yeah.
I wonder if the 3 of us, like we're a pretty good model for what should go forward. We think about it. We all do ministry pretty differently.
Yeah.
But yeah, all needed and all.
Oh gosh.
Have we annoyed you yet? How many minutes are we in?
I don't know, but we were doing so well.
I felt like it was
Is this
time.
bothering you? Is this
Oh my
annoying?
goodness.
I really just need a razor
I need to shave
right now.
Yeah, I need to shave.
Nathan says I'm going to have to shave his head soon. We've done one kid home haircut. The other kid is just letting his hair just gets bigger. It doesn't get long. It just gets so big. So that's what the 14-year-old is looking like right now. And then like, you're going to have to shave my head. Oh man.
I have like a rat tail right now.
Nice. You should lean into that.
Around.
I was supposed to get a haircut like a couple days before everything happened. I mean, it's like a real good like ducktail.
Just trim the sides. Like just go for it. New Kids on the Block style.
Oh wow.
Katie makes fun of me for it pretty much.
How is she
She's
not
like,
taking
your ducktail's looking great.
Well,
I've told her she's welcome to.
I've got a pretty serious skunk spot going over here, and I may just let it happen.
I think it's like
it looks
Storm
cool.
from X-Men. Like your powers.
Yeah, it looks rad.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've made a nice segue into if you're staying centered, how are you staying centered? And maybe let's not make that an all the time 7 days a week thing. If you have a moment over the course of 7 days where you feel centered, what got you there?
That's tough. I think I probably feel the most centered after I've had a virtual call that is not work. It's like a friend, fun, light thing. And that's been one of the wild things about this is I've been catching up with friends from seminary and being in on the church stuff every week, and just this, I mean, all these people that I never see, and I guess now I'm realizing I always could have, right? But just spending times with like old friends and people that know me really well, and just laughing and sharing like how each of our individual experiences are going and are similar and different. But yeah, I find myself right after those calls feeling very centered and just kind of good.
I don't know that I have an answer.
Well, I'm going to talk a bit, and then maybe something will come to
Yeah.
you. And I think
Yeah.
that, Stephanie, you'll enjoy some of this, that Nathan and I are really just stepping fully into middle age. We're just saying, okay, this is where we are. This is our life now. So in addition to like all the gardening and things that have always been fun and life-giving, we're really getting into the bird watching. So we've got some binoculars. We got a couple of bird books. Nathan's doing this thing where he layers one kind of seed and then a black oil sunflower so that it looks really cool in the feeder, and then all these different birds go crazy for it. We have indigo buntings. I mean, come on. They're like little blue
indigo buntings.
And then
beautiful.
For the first time ever, we've got hummingbirds this year that we've seen. We put up a hummingbird feeder, and let me tell you, I can get lost just I feel like aggressive waiting for the hummingbirds to come out. So
I'm so proud of you.
Are you learning like the calls and stuff?
No, but I have tried to.
You're like, oh, that's an indigo bunting for sure.
Female.
2 years of age.
We have a lot of doves, and I would really like for them to come like sit on my arm. So I was singing to them the other day from the Mary Poppins, the Feed the Birds, Tuppence a Bag. I was singing very loudly to them, thinking that if they thought I was the bird lady, they would just come to me. We also have too many crows, and I saw on Instagram some man teaching crows to play Connect Four.
Crows are like so smart.
That might be the next thing we do, is start playing Connect Four with the crows.
Crows are brilliant.
Has anything come to mind yet, Stephanie?
Yeah, lots of things have come to mind. I don't know if any of them are pertinent to our assigned conversation.
The question about how are you staying centered.
Would you say that hearing other people's hobbies is keeping you centered?
It does bring a little bit of joy to me.
Well, then that's the next question, is what is bringing you joy right now? And I really need to have belly laughs. So are you getting some good laughs in? And how?
Yes, the children provide good laughs. If we're not screaming at them, then we're laughing at them. There's really no middle ground, right?
And at them, not with them, but directly at
them. Yeah, because they say some absurd stuff.
Yeah.
Some is going on right now behind me. I can hear it. So that's good, and that's probably what centers me as well. Because the hospital is still a hospital. Car accidents do still happen, and dogs still bite children, and so none of that's really taken a back seat. And it's a place where laughter happens, but it's usually in response to something awful to try and rebalance the scale really quickly at the hospital. So coming home and being able to laugh just for laughter's sake is it helps, definitely.
Tim, what about you?
Looking at Tim's rat tail, that brought me a lot of joy.
Good. I knew there was a reason that I'd been saving it.
And I really, the urge to fly to your house right now, and that's really a pull for me right now.
I
would want me to
accentuate it.
Do what?
I want to accentuate that tail. I would want.
How do you do that?
Around it, so as to point to more tail growth.
That's something to consider.
It's really not.
Maybe,
it's really not.
We'll have another Mardi Gras.
I feel like there's good and evil sitting on your shoulder right now, because you're on my screen. You're at the bottom, and Elizabeth, we're situated right above your shoulders. And I feel like bad is talking to you right now about leaving the thing, and good is really saying, go find some snippers,
get rid of
kiddo.
It.
Or fun is saying grow the rat tail, and boring is saying get a decent grown-up haircut.
Oh
When is the
gosh,
time of it? Do I lean in or do I lean out?
it's
think
up to you,
Do I
buddy.
embrace? We'll see. I'll send y'all pictures either way. How about that?
It'd be fantastic.
But it's going to be just, if this ends up going till like the fall or whatnot, it's going to just be a rowdy.
Oh,
But maybe if there's like 2 days where we can go out, I'll get a haircut in those 2 days.
Oh, those 2 days will be nuts. If they just
Yeah.
open things for 2 days, I can't even imagine.
I don't want to go
Um,
out. No.
Okay, so you were asking Joy? Is that where we
Yeah,
were?
joy. Brings you joy. What makes you laugh? Not that laughter and joy are the same thing. Those can be two separate questions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, going back to what I was saying, doing these kind of virtual happy hours or catch ups with friends has been just really fun, and lots of laughing and just kind of reminiscing over old times and stuff like that. Me adopting a dog during quarantine has been a really fun but a wild decision because we have a little puppy in the house now. But taking her for walks and playing with her and stuff like that is just makes me laugh a lot because puppies are so awkward and funny, and yeah, so just little stuff like that.
I did start, I think I told you, Elizabeth, I did start watercolors about a year ago.
Oh, nice.
So I paint. And so I paint whenever I can at the hospital here. And that definitely, it's about the only thing I can really put my mind in and shut everything else out. And
That's
then
really
I just
cool.
give them away, and it's just fun. Like,
That's
I
awesome.
create it and I don't keep it. I just let them
That's
go.
cool.
Yeah.
Have you considered doing a watercolor of a rat tail?
I'm gonna take a screenshot if I can remember how to do that,
Okay.
and I'll put it in the mail for you. Yeah.
That would be the thing that would bring me the greatest joy.
Right. Okay. I'll work
Well,
on
now
that.
something to look forward to, and you can just get a screenshot of it, and I'll put it on my phone. Tim, I know you have another call coming up, so I want to honor your time. Thank you both for doing this little activity with me. I don't know how long I'm going to keep interviewing friends from my living room, but for the next months at least, unless I too decide to go adopt a puppy, which I don't think is going to happen. So I
You
love
already have
you.
one now.
I miss you. Stephanie.
Aww.
Love you, friends.
We love you.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Y'all take care.
You too. Bye.
Y'all too. Great to see y'all.